tene tang anang su tsare ti ki jo tsare chi du za xin ne ci den mi de la long qian se je yo wo ta long qian ce yang gum tang xin ba je yo re ka re se na ta long chuo ji so song wan dong ji ya tsare yang na long pa chi ne pa ba gu dong da chi long pa dong ne te dong sa du ti je la long chuo xin long ma xin ne chi ne jam long chuan chi ne Devi or Mahasamada, or Devi or Mane or something nante, Shokchimboshira membachi, or Tendu Chinate Guamgore, or the on or that contour and Zitan, or Tendu Guamgore. I can hit long to answer my top there, Dana, but he were down during was answer my top she also jobs on the way of Mare, or Tendu, Tiva Patan Netene, Tendu Guamgore. Or the same Mantrova China, or the Ruchin, Tromasoma China, so the Lugom, or the needs a dance on Chicago and the long Pacale, Paraji, Pandrotiad, the Ruchin, that's all the same Main Bachina, or that Ruzigo Shores.
So there's so where we left off this morning was with in the category of calm abiding without a support, and in that category, or without a focal object, and then in that category we have, with the breath and without the breath. So we were discussing methods of using the breath, and so there's another method of using the breath, which is sometimes referred to as the gentle vase breath, and it is involves kind of gently, or holding the winds slightly below the navel. So first, one would do, for instance, the 9 rounds of breathing or expelling the stale winds, and then one would hold, breathing in. One would gently hold the winds at the point, below the navel without a lot of force, but just very gently, and kind of holding it there. Focus in, the object of one's focus then becomes, the breath or the wind being held there below the navel, and the main thing is to keep the mind resting there without falling into delusion, or without being distracted. And then when it's time to release the wind, then one slowly releases the winds that have been held, without allowing the mind to become distracted. So now we can spend a little bit of time meditating in this way, gently holding the winds below the navel and releasing as necessary.
我他就当我当初先这情况怎么办？挺受情不用呢？因上呢，这个个不是嘛上次，我的这拉什么当呢？这第个人是，我们个人送多，今天呢，然后超过受情不用呢，让点有了，这个那不老是嘛上次，我真是什么当，我在其他超过。
Tigli nakpo kare?
Lokrima yura.
Lukirema?
Da Lokrima sopan the yura three.
Ah, yeah.
The chongs. I don't say so there you on. Or the Lunda some dana, and trouble John to see to grace.
So if it is that you find you're getting sleepy or a little bit dull, or there's some sloth or torpor, then you can meditate on a small bindu or sphere at the point between your eyebrows, or kind of at third eye level, a white sphere about the size of a small pea. And then if you're finding that there's a lot of agitation or mental activity and it's difficult to settle down, then you can visualize a small black sphere or bindu underneath your seat, about the size of a sheep's pellet. And this way these methods can help in clearing away the faults of both agitation or excitement and sloth and torpor.
Oh, tene tangarang to oh, that's really on long jan take kumya wrong around to Dorjen debas, long Dorjen debas. Or the long Dorjen debas take her as another. That you get zoom to Ahon. Ambo Son Jongwat, Yan Rovat, Omchi, Nevat Archie, Son Jongwat Hong, or to do the Oma Ahon something. Kerala takes some of down, or to do some of the Daya, along Urgent de Pass, Laburata Mons, the Gumdo and something.
And so then there's another method for meditating using the breath as an object, which is the Vajra recitation. So the way to employ the Vajra recitation is that you mentally think or recite on the in-breath the syllable Om. Then with a pause, there's the syllable A. And then with the exhalation, the syllable Hong. So you're just mentally reciting Om, Ah, Hong, following the natural rhythm of the breath.
Oh, that's a search, that's a woman. That's a lumi said you're saying, but lumi said that's dancing. That's a damn Kayang Machawachina. That's a Kalagwe. A lunit Sungamana, Yin Chita. The Sam makes it mixing under what the Kayang Mibachi. What a Mibachina, Sam the Tarawak canons, the Wuro Rawak canon, Nelo on Parshane. What in a tendu spa, and Yamnachi, which was at it, that's a long meat, sanity and sadi.
So then the second category of the shamatha without support is the without even the support of the breath. So with breath and without breath. So then there's without breath. And that means that there's really no support at all. There's no object. You're meditating without a particular object. And so you sit in the same way as described before, assuming the proper posture. And there's also not like a particular like a place or object upon which to rest your gaze, but you allow the mind to just naturally settle, to drop into its own resting. And then the object of the meditation here is just to rest within the natural state. And so that becomes the meditation.
他这张啊，让做做的公家红的，他请过你，请我的某吧，出我的锅吧，他说了点，那他让做在公家嘛头做这恰了说的话，我听的，真的，他好像开始在当个公家的那个，像在超过学全部学就有呢，常常在但是实际的土老师主是工。土老师主是工呢，在3万多句来成的点，如果就是这些开始做个这后头呢，这点的钱呢吧，等于钱呢，先就是在马地位往上做，先的呢，我等于的等于怎么当，这我们的学啥的，现在在开始情况的，目标的学全部用了，现在这。实际的思想的思想样呢，所别想的看法的，现在都用所设计弄的用了这个，我东巴是说的是去的，他们们都那东巴去的，这是要先的脱来的怎么当？我这呢先要这report 的什么样的钱先要按照么子呢 report 这我这里去到的，我这呢这里去呢。
So the main issues that come up, especially when meditating for long periods of time, are the issues of either sloth and torpor, or this kind of excitement and agitation, or a kind of too much excitement or mental activity. So if, for instance, there's kind of the agitation, then one thing that one can do is to kind of wear warmer clothes, for instance, to eat kind of heavier foods, nutritious foods, to really attend to relaxation, to relax, try to relax the body and mind. And also it can help to focus the mind below the navel, to meditate, focusing below the navel. And then on the other hand, if there is a sloth, like a predominance of sloth and torpor, then what can be done is one can sort of meditate, change one's location, or to meditate like with more in a place that has more kind of like spaciousness and brightness, or more clarity. One thing you could do, for instance, is open a window and let some breeze in, some cool air. Also splashing your face with water, and kind of in general, just intensifying the kind of focus of awareness, so tightening the awareness to some extent, and really bringing up kind of the strength of focus.
真的这种的情况，怎么过的修全部英雄呢？真的自是狼，恐怕家的路情难的，我这是起落就是大胆的情难的，是看不上的。其实真的这种模型，真的七八单呢，就是用到真的在确定中，早全部都果然的去。恰的这呢，那这地方嘛，第三说一般的我们就是怕他小事，说话大呢，这他呢，这等于自己要不说这小事，我真的说话大，我真的请的这样的我真的请的这小事的。
So if there's still, even after trying those methods, if there's still some heaviness, sloth, and torpor, then it is advisable to like get up, to walk a bit, to walk around, to sort of refresh your senses, and go back to the meditation. If it's still, if there's still heaviness and sleepiness, then you might actually, for instance, if it's possible, go to a stupa, do some circumambulations, do some prostrations, and actually make aspiration prayers, supplicate, that your mind may be purified, that your awareness may become clear, and that you may be able to give rise to meditative absorption.
等等，当我从先的是点米，先让我想在这，马球让在让我们中下那天呢， ze chemba mayin ba chi na den ze sam lo no shanti sti kom ja yin.
So then employing this method of objectless awareness, then let's just spend some minutes together just meditating without an object, allowing the mind to naturally settle or just rest in its own place without becoming distracted.
tene dangarang su tari pecha kurang nang ta te temi ti jang jamba ta lo ba ni le salam do de jamba te zong do tari te pecha kurang nang chungkur da tang a tang da la xeba jungzi james na se te so ro nam kha la te ne ge je mai ba ze je nyam ja ha mi kwa tang sema ne gum ji je jang mi mi kwa sema tu gum do ya sio ma le es yang ski je mi se wa da yang son de kama pe me yang ski je mi 我其实伊拉没记敲在前部，因是伊拉没记吧，在敲在前部，伊拉没记像他蛮人吧，前真真吧没吧，马上话题伊拉没记写了去了，反正伊肯知道下点没吧，伊拉没记敲在前部，啊是，我们就对上没吧，我们就像前面这些我们都要需要嘛的是，我们吧是我们一同到前面。我们确实，我的我们就是mixing起嘛，今年我们都要嘛，前面现在这蛮英吧去过去，蛮英吧他我们我听的，我蛮英吧前吧他嘛这话去呢，他我们的呢，这蛮英吧他娘们去的呢，前边确认最终去到伊拉，我们最终去那些，伊拉我们最终叫他们他们去啊，前吧都来吃，当时说他的这趟他忙学茶爽。
So in the text, then it says, first explaining the practice of focusing, it says, maintaining the body postures and gaze as before, look into space at the level of the tip of your nose, with your mind slightly focused and one pointedly set, without even a moment of distraction. While there's nothing at all to meditate upon, there's no focal object or sign, to not allow even a moment of distraction. So then it says, it is said in the inconceivable Mahamudra, do not meditate as there is nothing to meditate upon, not even as tiny as an atom. And so the main emphasis here is simply to sustain undistracted awareness without kind of apprehending anything whatsoever as the meditation. So there's nothing to meditate upon, even as tiny as an atom. Not parting from the meaning of non-meditation is the supreme meditation. And so there is no thing that is meditation or state that is meditation. Non-meditation itself is the meditation. And so then it says, thus meditate in short sessions, and carry on activities between the sessions with constant mindfulness as before. So the main thing also in the path of activity and post-meditation is to sustain this undistracted awareness or practice mindfulness.
真的来长波吧，南方出吧，忙头完全，先经济那边大因，那边没边空头南方的情况嘛是这样的，可吧因，即将南方那所出吧的抗击我新吧因，真的我大体嘛老想的啥的，拉啥什么，先嘛因吧经济你就我送了，这样子嘛学完，就是我送这样生的，所以说我嘛是嘛其实个因送了，但这个嘛因嘛是呢。我听我从去常的个来看，听也说的讲，觉得光呗，你心机点的，多话听心机点的马上，我多话能拖堂心机要点的马上的去过来，从头我每天呢那边家是多话没白呢，那过来从头。
And so then, as it says, in doing so, for beginners, thoughts will seem to proliferate extensively. And so this was already explained, also discussed earlier when he said that this tends to happen. This indicates a small degree of mental stability. Before you have mental stability, all thoughts that arise remain scattered and unrecognized. Nonetheless, if myriad thoughts proliferate, make sure to recognize whatever fluttering thoughts arise. And so the main thing is that recognition. So we don't want to fall into a state where the thoughts are going unnoticed or unrecognized. So the key is to be aware of the thoughts as they arise in the mind. And then and so it goes on to say, thus, with undistracted mind, recognize each thought that arises one after the other, and never allow your mind to scatter. Take a short rest and resume. When you meditate again in this way, the non-conceptual mind abides in pristine clarity as the thoughts by themselves cease to serve as the grasping object of mind. And so if you start to tire, if you become tired or it becomes difficult, you can also take a rest. And then as you continue, the main thing is to not get caught up in whatever conceptual proliferation is happening in the mind, to just observe it without like grasping onto it or becoming entangled, and to remain, within this thought-free awareness that either is without, the thoughts, as the thoughts cease themselves, cease or dissolve, or to recognize when there is the presence of thoughts.
tene jetan tanga zo hinet ke chimbo cha de yo gom ja la hinet dembo da yuring bo gom tomna de dembo yo na de yuring bo gom ja to ya pengere da hinet ki da mina de ze gom cha na le chang da lang dong da ze gom na da long na man me da nis de long na man me de yuring bo ba to ma ba ten de ma ran so ti chen xie ti ke zong du ma dang wan da chi tene zang zang yan yu de yan song du tene da gom ne to xio ma le 어텐드 티 키네티스 아랑스 케침부레 zonre.
And so shamatha, cultivating calm abiding, is so important. This is what serves to create the stability of the meditation, and it will enable you to meditate for long periods of time without becoming distracted. If there isn't a really developed practice of shamatha, then it often isn't so beneficial to meditate for long periods of time, or one won't be able to progress much with the meditation. So it is said that while there might be, one could, without really developing shamatha, one can practice vipassana or insight, but that insight becomes very unstable, very tenuous, like it's likened to the flame of a butter lamp in the wind, that it's really just very unstable, because there's not a lot of mindfulness there. There's not a lot of stability in the mind. And so if there isn't enough mindfulness, then we will definitely fall under the sway of distraction. And then our meditation will just become distracted, a state of like abiding within a distracted, a state of distraction. The mind is distracted as you meditate. And then there won't really be much benefit. So without shamatha, there really isn't any way to further progress in the meditation.
rimba som dang sha yore kar zong sen le ne thangbo jong bab chindas le ne thangbo jong bab chindas hwa ne chimo kanga the ji hwa tama chincha ma we je de zong re what de yin le thangbo jong bab chindas ser hong du tene ta re saro zen ma chim ba ho na wa ten na ji de ze ne cha nyung nyung re sa ji nam to ji je ning tu chong re wa ne cha de nyung nyung re this is sa de ne re chu this is a ji ro wa ten du Teresa, Harta Chimo Kangati, Sine, Harta Chimo Kangati, Tachimo Kangate, the Jarak Tant on Kali, Kaliman, the Shadas, Shochimo Rogam, Sandu, then I'm taught these new young shot, or Tene, one to this Yabojat beyond, or the young is Tamachunta Mavijay, then Tamachunta Mavijay, Jason, that should some of the Jamson and Bamdo. Or the Jamson, how do that? The Jamson, Medipan, you are Chido, you more. Then I'm taught this true now, so Guam gone lay on Shinegan Susa lay on but Richin, that she tattooed the Jamson, or Tenduno, Shashandua.
And so Tilopa describes the stages of shamatha development as three sort of specific levels. So he says that in the beginning, shamatha is like a waterfall falling from a high cliff, meaning that, like if there's a strong waterfall, there isn't a lot of abiding, and there's a very strong flow of thoughts, but there's some abiding starting to happen here and there, but there's still a very strong and coarse kind of flow of discursive proliferation. And then he says in the middle, it becomes like the widened, kind of still continuous, but the more gentle flow of a wide river like the Ganges. So at this stage, it's there's still the persistent flow of discursiveness or discursive proliferation, but it has slowed quite a bit, and there are a lot fewer thoughts. It's not as strong. The flow of thoughts is not as strong. And then in the end, it is like the confluence of a stream or a river emptying out into the vast ocean or merging with an ocean. And so ultimately, a fully developed shamatha becomes more like the experience of the ocean because there's real stability there. So at the depths, there's the mind is unwavering. There might be some activity kind of like on the surface, like at the surface of the ocean, but the abiding is very deep. And so at that point, then the shamatha is really developed. This is kind of like the example of the most developed level, that it's like more like the experience of an ocean.
Then Chungor Datang Art and us, then Chungor and Lupo de Tantra, so that on same that made that on Zuka cheese, the same flow, Janana Shana, Shepherd on road, Jian, Ila Majiv on a shas, located shots, what the Jida Ila Majiva, the shark thing on a Mayin, what can be used, Shepherd Zillig on Yam Jes, what the Shepherd Zillig on the Yam Jim race, this Simni Drojes, Simni Drobas and Drobas and 남토 삼지 다 체되래. 어ත네 요바다 미바. 아파 치발라서 체되래. 다시 선니 조리 남가 더브레스 남가 요민인 타데데. 어ත나 남가 신 남가 강스 jansu xiatan meto xin jansu sanata jansu de jitan jansu de this is cut yoba won then yoba ma tena yi ta ko yamna ya ko ne de na jansu na yi res yoba mi ba wa te share sana share de jitan chin ne share ta chima mi ba de te sem chima mi te na yi share ki na yi wa ta de nga su sem te ze rama shira ma do de share be ya 冲动的这个冲动咱们的想，这里把冲动就这个写的有想呢，在哪一点咱们咱们的想就这个呢，先可能我了，谈话这是，我这期没错噻，这没错是别的，像没错别蛮当的艰难当不蛮故事，先可能我了前面我有嘛的是，我这里我在哪一种说出来，我前面蛮过我心，商业间的说来吧，在商业间的说来噻，他这看都哪过。 但是做这块资料啊，是我来拉出来，这样子没得样子没，我没写字吧，全都要是有嘛的，样子就有嘛的，这类啊，看不得起，实在这类呢，看不得起，中多，我得看过去了，看不满意，看不意，看不我就确完意，但看说呢，真的过来了我有的，看不我确都给的，我说就那有啊，马来就呢。 그래 검는 라바 먼저 왕고트 강야 요만 있어 와 검 손한테 레카 카리 나레라고 요레스 와테 레카 카리 나한테 검 손을 내라고 요레스 검 라바 먼저 왕고트 강야 요만 있어 와테 와테인데 저 같은 거랑서 검자한테 저 공시 차고 그래 그래서 나랑서 예매다 샘在南方出来的，咱们这小当毛从这样子空气차从地方去着去的。 我在说今年那年们刚做，样呢样子工人做空气차원的光头要不加特别，忙死我们刚做特别，这小当毛从就是穷的做特别，我听着在抢着去，听着光过去了，光 laba menjor so de komna laba menjor ngot kan yo ma komro gres ze Dzogchen nyamda shin ne bar ma chi far de ko so ta sem shine ya bo se ne ma to bar yang ne yang da tam na so chin de gom gore zong do ta de lo be kara da tang sang sim ji tu ma yi de kan nga tu ma ne war tu se la shuo
Young chair.
大唐甚至大唐唐的甚至他妈也是甚至唐这么着的，大唐这么着起呢，这块俺他妈的玩儿就是这块做，要不那嘛他玩儿过来，中多啊，我在那一点，俺那做他那把这啥，现在让他做我这的，现在他这个做大人把开心故事哇，我这是草马光南这个，草马马光南这个，做我他说说看，刚工的来了，光出现的，然后做我进来，真的说让他做我的现在，等下面他要不电不是。 去投票去过去的。
So then, so then we have the section on loosening. So it says, maintain the body postures and gaze as before. By relaxing your body and mind, let your awareness be relaxed and released in its natural state, and the mode of thinking nothing, being not distracted from this state as you maintain constant mindfulness, and experience of mind being vividly pristine will dawn. So here, in relaxing into the natural state, not becoming distracted, not falling under the sway or the power of distraction, just sustaining that undistracted awareness and just releasing into that the essence that is free from the elaboration or proliferation of conceptual thought, discursive thought. And then as it says, the nature of mind is unelaborated. So the nature of mind is unelaborated, like space, like an ocean, like a crystal or a flower in space. So it is beyond the extremes of existence or non-existence, beyond all extremes of elaboration. And so it says it's like an ocean. And so as was described, this is like, and that the ocean, even if there's activity on the surface, from the depths, there is no movement. It's stable from the depths, despite whatever sort of proliferation or movement there may be at the surface. And so then, as it says, is like a crystal. So a crystal being, completely clear and without any stain or defilement. And like the mind is like this. Even though with a crystal, it may temporarily take on the color of, say, like a particular fabric that it's placed upon. If you put all sorts of different colors behind it, then the crystal will appear to be that color. But the crystal itself is clear. It doesn't actually take on any of these colors. And so in the same way, even though all sorts of thoughts and emotions and moods shine forth in the mind, the essence of the mind itself is clear. It is, without sort of the color of these different moods and states or thoughts. So it says it's like a flower, or like kind of a flower in space. I think it's like a flower and it's like space. So a flower, it's like a flower, and that a flower, for instance, like a lotus, is born out of the mud. But when it blossoms, it is completely unstained by that mud from which it grows. And so in the same way, the essence of awareness itself is free of any defilement or stain. And it is this like space, and that it is beyond the extremes of all elaborations, beyond the extremes of eternalism or nihilism or existence or non-existence. It is awake, naked, and clear. And so the mind itself is vivid, it is awake, it is clear, and there isn't any new thing to be like created or or meditated upon or thought, but it is to recognize, a matter of recognizing what is as it actually is, and then not becoming distracted from that. And so it says it is neither to be focused on, nor is it to be distracted from. So accustom yourself to this as much as possible. And so the key is habituation. So as is said, it is not so much a matter of meditation as it is a process of habituation or familiarization. And when familiarization occurs, this enables, that is when meditation actually really happens, or that's when we can call it meditation. And so it is that way. It's as is said, anything that one takes up, then chunjo nangla sungdue. So in the Bodhicharya Avatara, it says, whatever skill or whatever kind of new skill or activity that is taken up requires training. It requires practice. And then with familiarization, with practice, eventually whatever that skill is that is taken up, it becomes easy. It becomes effortless. And so it is the same way with meditation. It takes training. It takes time and effort. It takes habituation. But then once there is habituation, then it really becomes effortless. It becomes easy. And the reason why it is so difficult initially is because what we are familiarized to, what we are habituated to, is the flow of attachment, aversion, and unawareness. And so that is what our predominance is. We have a propensity, a strong propensity, that is caught up in the activity of attachment, aversion, and unawareness, because we have habituated ourselves to that again and again. And so as we meditate, we're undoing that habituation to attachment, following after the mind of attachment and aversion and unawareness. And the result, the effect of the habituation of meditation is that those propensities of attachment, aversion, and unawareness start to diminish. And so it takes time, it takes effort, it takes consistent practice and habituation. And until we can really abide, in the calm, abiding, meditative absorption, we have to practice again and again. So as Tilopa says, through, the various methods of gazing and concentrating or focusing the mind, then until one has to make an effort, or one has to really apply oneself until awareness is able to hold its own, or abide within its own place. And so we have these different methods of shamatha that have been introduced here, the progressive sort of stages of these different tools or different methods that can be applied. And we don't necessarily have to develop all of them or go through sort of the progressive stages. But what we can do is see what methods are most useful to us and really apply them accordingly, as a way to train until we're able to really have stable shamatha, or calm, abiding, meditative absorption, until the mind is really able to abide with stability, to rest in the calm, abiding, meditative absorption.
tene ngema da jizimela repa saja je phe wasare tene pomo yosare pomo lo jurunga simbas te mola te damga na ro chi sta che chi ma phe da ma mo main se la jong than ma bom se na gre jong than ma bom se ho te chamo damga
te nga shegi yo yene nga jesha kare sen
than ma bom
dharma bom.
네, 베트남 보면서나 어떻지? 뭐 담아나로 대다티 지코나니 보고 나 파르소 카시 요레 디남 다제 요레 되게 가르선 지금에다 저는 고음들이 jobs 남가 대부 고음스 jobs 타부 maybe 남가 대부 고음시 jobs 타부 maybe 고음스 jobs namka de long tawi me be gwam she jobs namka de la be long so namka de la be long na tawi me be gwam she jobs what ninda de la be long na se de me be gwam jobs ni man da ba zu be long na se ba de jab ya de gwam jobs
Sell dip mepa.
ho se de me be gwam jobs what ne rewon de la be long la ponjor me be gwam she jobs rewot ponjor me ba gwam jobs ro我的让什么同马里马江苏的那边弄了，的呢，cutting me be guam jobs，cut 等于马拉讲说我的guam jobs，让什么同起呢 ，contract me be guam jobs，contract 先他才算不了，我 contract me be guam jobs，guam 西是我的 guam。
So that's on me pato。
我才算me be，他 guam 下 contract 先才算不了的，他是那他们才算不了的 contract 先。What new jobs that works on what you took.
So there's a song that is based on a time when Milarepa traveled to a new area. He was traveling and arrived in one place, and there was a young girl of about 15 years of age who met him and ended up receiving pith instructions, and she went off to meditate. And her name was Pedarbum, and she. Some of the instructions that Milarepa gave her, he said, when she went off to meditate, he said, you should meditate on your mind using the example of the sky that is without boundary or center. So meditate in this way. And you should meditate taking the example of like the sun and moon, the nida or karma. The nida. Like the sun and the moon, you know, without sort of increase or decrease. And you should and you should like meditate in this way, and you should meditate using the example of a mountain, without a mountain that abides, you know, without wavering or like transition or change, the stability of the mountain. And you should meditate using the example or based on the example of an ocean without a difference, you know, with regard to the surface and depths. And so then he said, you should meditate on your mind in this way without doubt or hesitation, without any doubt or hesitation.
Da te som zo pa kaisi ya chi zhi chu pa morang king go je pu res wa da tang bo de ji chu zhen bo che wa de ne da nam ga gom de la de nam ga gom ya de wo do yin na lo ji gom ba zhong ma de wa de lo ji ti ge jing ba ti gom ya de wo shi ra ma do wa de ne lo ji gom be dam ga shu lo ji gom tang dam ga shu wa de ne ni da gom de la de wa de sakar gom ba zhong ma de sakar gombe damga shus tene rewo gom de la tes zihin gomba jong des zihin gombe damga shus
Zixing sana pena xingdang
za da zihin ti zihin da goroda wa de so de ste wo men de gom ya damga shus da wa de jian zou gom de la des bala gom jong ma des da bala gom ya damga shus tene ransem gom de la tes ransem de gom ya de wo do si na nam to gom ba jong ma des nam to gom be dam ga chue so a tsu pa shu sa ro ma la ba
And so she went off and she meditated for a time following his instructions. But then there were some doubts that arose. And so she went to clarify these doubts, went to Milarepa to receive instruction in order to clear away these doubts. And as she was meditating and she was experiencing, the arising of all these thoughts, even though the mind was abiding, there was so much proliferation of thought. And so she asked Milarepa, she said to him, "Precious Jetson, when I meditate as you instructed on the sky, that's all fine and good, or that's okay, but then it's not so great when there are clouds. So what to do? Please give me your instructions on how to meditate on the clouds." And then she said, "It's all fine and good when I meditate on the sun and the moon, but what to do about the stars? Please give me some instructions on how to meditate on the planets and stars." And then she said, it's all fine and good, or it's good when I meditate on the mountain, but then what to do about the brush, the plants and trees? Please give me instruction on how to meditate on the plants and trees. And it's all good, like I'm okay to meditate on the ocean, but what to do about the waves? So please give me some instruction on how to meditate on the waves. And I can, it's all good to meditate on the nature of my own mind, or on my own mind, but it's not, so easy with all of the thoughts. So please give me some instruction on how to meditate on the thoughts.
저는 다 제주 토니 원다 중단 냠나 야고 친도 좀 곰디 시엔도 좀 토니 워 친데 다 극시 운동데 난 단만 보면 지나 용 야고시 와트네 남가 곰 데라나 토치 남게 춘추인스 된 남가 가 경험 쇼스
Wait, Namka, Yangcha? Namka?
남가 곰 데라나 와트네 토치 남게 춘추노레스 청춘정으로서 남가가 랑강 교스 남가 코랑한테 다 티나는 남가 코랑하고 도치 재수 잡는다 말이스 남가 랑강 교스 니다 곰트데라나 사카 닌데 춘춘인스 니다 랑강 교스 그래서 뭐 곰트데라나
So the Zakar Chutroyan?
와사카 닌데 춘춘레스 춘춘인스 어떤 니다 랑강 교스这是我光的对了呢，真的最近是我全出印象，真的如果俺给让给俺说，是的是我可能跟俺讲过的是，真的讲做光的对了呢，把那讲做全出印象，真的讲做让跟俺说是，讲做可能俺讲过的是，真的让先的让先光的对了呢，是让先光的对了。南方sempre全出印象，真的什么让刚说，是南方出送那sempre蛮应过去，sempre让刚是下过的送多，这种呢，这就给这他妈就是这样呢，真的没出发走，也就是嘛出头不么些有了，听能出头这里么，起码但家运动出不上，可就也是鼓励麻烦呢，真就去，真伢们真就穷，也讲多的。
And so Jetson Milarepa was really delighted by her questions because it indicated that she really understood, the practice. And so then he said, Dharma Boom, listen well. If you meditate, if you have no problem meditating on the sky, then you should know that the clouds are simply a natural expression of the sky itself. So just continue to meditate on the sky, and the clouds are are nothing to be concerned about. They sort of are resolved within the empty essence of the sky itself. And if you find it easy to meditate on the sun and moon, then also the stars and planets are a natural expression or natural accompaniment of the sun and moon. So just continue to meditate on resting within, that sun, or continue to meditate on the sun and moon without paying too much attention to the planets and stars. And if you find it easy to meditate on the mountain, then you should know that the trees and bushes are also just a natural display or natural expression of the mountain. So continue to meditate, on the mountain, just letting the trees and bushes be. And if you find it easy to meditate on the ocean, then you can know that the waves are just a natural expression of the ocean. So continue to rest within the meditation on the ocean. And if you find it easy to meditate on your own mind, then you can know that the thoughts are just a natural expression, a natural display of the mind itself. And so continue to rest the mind, or to rest within the recognition of the mind itself. And so when she received these instructions, this cleared away her doubts, and she went on to meditate, and she became, she reached very high levels of realization and became one of Milarepa's foremost disciples. And so there were 4 female disciples who became great accomplished masters. Right. So there were 4 female disciples who became like Mahasiddhas, or fully accomplished masters, who were disciples of Mahasiddha, the disciples of Milarepa. And she was one of these 4. And she also actually attained the rainbow body. So she, without casting off her physical form, she was liberated within the fully assuming the rainbow body.
저는 장어랑 소다다 디 범자한테 샘잼바다 로바니도 어디 돈다 고란 부직반다고 그런도와 샘랑와 샤한테 많이 와진 다제가 저 남토시 진보용다 제 샘플레지 전에 제 직목이 좀 샘잼네시네 보다더니 뭐 가래 바 지기다나티 샘랑와 그나마 샤네 되네 많이 와진 this 검자 is
And so in this way, the practice at this point becomes simply kind of alternating accordingly between these methods of focusing or tightening and loosening as needed. And so the main thing is to just let the mind naturally settle, or to allowing awareness to just drop into itself and to sustain non-distraction. And then according to the faults of either sloth and torpor arising, or agitation and excitement, then you can employ the functions or the methods of focusing or tightening and loosening respectively. And so for a time now, we can just practice in this way, employing this method for a bit together.
저는 다 다른 거랑 저 삽진정한테 심리 욕망 오주바다 나토 오주바스니 와 심리 욕망 오주바다 신내다 항동이 선도다 다다데 다 신내체 제 차선로이 만다 잔들이마 상통 세트리노
So simni la.
심리 욕망 오주바다 니 심리 욕망 오주바다 나토 오주바스 오시는 니도와 어떻게 심리 욕망 오주치야들라 신내다 항동이 다 신내체 다 치료와 다 항동
So then we have so there the oh yeah. So as we have, the two categories of the main section of the text, which are pointing out the innate nature of mind and then pointing out upon appearances. And so pointing out the innate nature of mind has the two categories of calm abiding and special insight. So now, having covered the section of shamatha or calm abiding, now we move into special insight or vipassana.
tene ta chen do lu ni chung ko nga chang ja wa la ta thang hwan na nam kha la de ship yung zi ngar ji la ran lo thu sha sang ni ma ti ji ban da rin do
So as it says here, maintain the body postures, the physical key points as before, but now focus your gaze straight ahead into space. So it's the same as before, the body postures, the key physical points.
ta sim ni ne bi ngo wa la je da ba jin da do lai ba ra do s wa ta sha ne bi ngo wa la ta ze ya bo so da ko re s wa ta kan ru do se da ko re s de da ko mi ta shu de da te da ya te da ngo kan ru do sen te yan sa ran ji da nga ran su sem ko ran ke ngo wa ta la kan do ka ma do men do da ya ran mo da de sem ko ran xie do men do da ya ran wa ta chen ru ye sa de wa te ndu 다 동다 신한테 시스템에 간도 간 많이 다티 요 말이라 예 비요 말와 어쨌든 진짜 야보다 정보디 스테로 저 저거 세고 잡고 살아와
And so then it says with your awareness slightly invigorated, let your mind be relaxed and released in its natural state. Thus, when your mind abides in pristine clarity, look directly at its nature and discover how its nature is. Mind looking thoroughly at mind itself. So here, what we're doing is we're just investigating, we're examining, what is the essence of mind? What is the essence of awareness? And so we're really just looking, we're observing, and we're inquiring, what kind of characteristics does it have? Does it have a color or does it not have a color? Does it have a shape or does it not have a shape? And so in this way, does it abide in a particular way? We're looking, we're examining with curiosity, we're investigating, what is the mind? How is the mind? And when we ask these questions, then probably we'll come to the conclusion that, it doesn't have a particular shape, it doesn't have a particular color, and so on.
다들 카르산한테 진루인다 소 진이 다들 유ring보 검장에나 가서 드라티스 검장네 다들 샘코나 예 칸도 칸린도 만도 티야고다 만도는 만도래 와다 되게 봐 타추 소데 검신 레버 타추 바지 소 타추 지마 아티고 섬도 담고 최소미 봤어 그 수이나 게차 찾아면 소소소 봐 타추 봤어 와다 치고 효서로 와서
And so mainly, for, having meditated for time, we really want to give, also real time and attention to this investigation and really look, what are the characteristics of the mind? Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? And so on. And we don't just take that for granted, like, oh, it does or it doesn't. But we really examine for ourselves. We really investigate until we become very clear and definitive, until we have decided, what is the nature of the mind without any doubt. To the extent that we, or to the extent where really there's such confidence there that we know how it is. We don't have to ask anybody else. But so until like all doubt is cleared away, then we look and we investigate, we examine.
Tene semse la ngozong mi pa ze singe je yenge wa she yons. Wata se majung wa lama la surwa de yane yang gom gore zong wa. Yane yang gom bes ten nam po de ran sa shine. Sem ke ran lo ze je ne ba de shines. Wata sem ke ze je ran lo ne ba de shines. Shines ya de je tang de sem na nam po ma chu ba. Ran ne de shines. Wata le zong wa. What in Sam Nelokan neighbor Shines Sam Kianan Shines what is she?
So then as it says, having clear yet indefinable awareness, which is pristine, vivid, and naked, will unfold. Until that happens, as you meditate again and again, with supplications to the Guru, thoughts subside of their own accord, and mind abides one-pointedly relaxed in its own nature. This is calm abiding in the state of the nature of mind. In this state of the nature of mind is ineffable. So here, what calm abiding means is that we're abiding, with single pointed focus without getting caught up in the discursive mind or discursive thoughts. And so here, as it says, thoughts subside on their own, and then it is what the object of the calm abiding is the true nature of the mind itself. So we're abiding within the recognition of the natural state.
这种的话，真的想让路，想让路这一下吧，现在希望的话，提纲了想我这，听着吧，先都些，瞧吧，他想我的路都瞧吧，在拉马头吧，马上就没吧，是的，马上就没，说在娘子用呀马头这个，马上就没吧，这些就是啦，蛮高吧，先把这些个这类吧些，我这长通也是长通，蛮通是吧？他给蛮通就。蛮用嘛，但应该蛮通蛮用的是通，那真的蛮通蛮用蛮用去，我这就了娘用，你蛮借蛮用的，娘用是吧？这样，我这让了一切就他确实有把是我这让了，但我那咱的绿的什么，一切上他确实是有把这，啊买些把这啦，他上通是个意思。
So then it says. In this state, the nature of mind is ineffable. It cannot be thought about or described in a certain way. One can't, even though it is clear, one can't really describe it and say, oh, the essence of the mind or the true nature of the mind is like this, and one can't exactly describe it. It cannot be thought about or described in a certain way, but it appears to be clear. It appears to be a clear and unceasing mind, pristine, vivid, and nakedly clear. It is to be seen by not seeing. So one sees what cannot be seen. It is to be experienced by not experience. It is one experiences, actually the way he explained this is what has not been experienced before. So it's a really definitive experience, like it has not, it's something new that reveals itself as, really something different from what one has experienced prior to this. And then based on that experience, then one really decides, oh, this must be it, and there's real confidence that arises. So it is, as it says, there is something you are confident or certain about. Nonetheless, it is ineffable. This is special insight.
真的这种的话，真的长子全部去在啥哈的话，现在那边弄了这样的空边呢，在那边种那些呢，从里呢，现在基本上才从面是，看到一个原天，别车位是看到一个原天是要么别车，马头去，马头打去， 人啦总是我他妈妈头了说哈口呀是全能嘛也得把人啦先是我他说你们是用呀的是往就谈判的了水嘛你是我但这个是在给他拉出嘛的种多那我这路边上我这开始那让人一些的是哪路吧了我就那么的一直就有面是我就让人一些的是我就那么的一有面是我就那么的啥的是一直就有啥个把木那边有嘛是相对就有面是这路我也这样点的米是我的这路我也这样点的米是我在那路从那人用过的是我这种有了我这样的我在哪里的是
And so then, as it says, the great Brahmin said, so this is referring to Saraha, focusing closely on the Guru's words, if one obediently strives, there is no doubt that this will culminate in the co-emergence. As it has no color, attributes, words, or analogies, I simply recognize it but cannot speak of it. And so in this way, it really is something that cannot be described. It is beyond the realm of words or even concepts. And so, as also Tilopa said, this pristine awareness, the intrinsic awareness that is the primordial wisdom is beyond the methods of description or speech. It cannot be spoken about or really indicated through speech. So I, Tilopa, have nothing whatsoever to show you. It can only be experienced directly. It can only be understood through your own experience.
真的是从他心里见个那种当吹吧，这心里。因为我这个敲在进步线了，但这里是敲在进步线，敲在进步线在忙不就有嘛的，但是给内陆的这些的话，唐不接上面吧，那上面吧，但他他们他吹的了，但那在那敲在进步线了，他这是出口线了，这里是。
这个那种，
这话人家话那话从他从他们他吹的了，这些的也得话深度呢。这叫在进步些讲这是我秋口些讲这是我的秋口些是那这里种的。
And so then it says this very nature of mind that is pristine and vivid, free from the extremes of arising, ceasing, and abiding is called Mahamudra, as well as the truth body or Dharmakaya. So this essence or this true nature itself is Mahamudra. There is no point of origination. There is no locality of abiding, and there is no destination to which it departs or goes. So it is beyond the extremes of arising, ceasing, or abiding, and it is free from all elaboration, beyond all extremes of elaboration. It is pristine, it is vivid, it is utterly clear. This is what is referred to as Mahamudra or the Dharmakaya.
真的，他绕的门天把这困难你就来是真的敲在进步的，我真的敲在进步的是，我真的吃面嘛，我是我到先不让内容过了，吃嘛，我有嘛的是，吃嘛我有嘛的是，他你的几趟啊做的有开始就了嘛那么，马大他吧的，身边强求是吧？这个一块些就都是，我这个马大他吧当时，马大他吧，新的南大，可能
Shintu namda。
可能是身边强求是吧？这个一块些就都是，强求是吧？身边强求是吧？上节我的马大吧的那个，那他先吃马大，就那吃马我有马的是，但我做吃马子，从这多话题有了哇。我这马大的那个那身边是，我的是把他是对的强求是吧？是。我这些都能把他送的在上节去，我这那边是在就那么呢，就总有了吧。我这期真的得了搞他这边的，搞不起都要嘛，先碰到那路去我去顿，做他得把这里些搞呀的，得所有天的些这边， or to so your mas nero gone Yamna Jandente, was me machu Numa thinking on Yamnachi Lina, the Garo Mares. Lam Tanyan Boni, Lamga and Dere said the Yomas, Yamnatharisco. And Nyambo said, on the Nyambo stand, those and the Nyambo Gomares, on the Nyambo Yomares, and then the Sanji Gunji, so then the Sanji Gunji good is, then Yontan Gunji, Yontan Tamji, that's Sanji, Yontan Tamji, you was a share one. That's also so what it is, and then Fuji Trobadi, what the Sanji Yontan Tamji, same Konan over, Fuji Trobdi, your is on the one.
So then it says the utterly non-abiding tantra of suchness says it is Mahamudra, it is free from stains, it has nothing to negate and nothing to establish. So this true nature is completely untainted, unstained by, for instance, the presence of temporary obscuration. So, for instance, as it says also in the Uttara Tantra, impure, pure, and utterly purified, or impure, purified, and utterly or completely purified. So these correspond with, for instance, sentient beings, bodhisattvas, and Buddhas. And during the time of these three stages, so impure being, for instance, that referring to the experience of sentient beings who have the obscurations of the kind of subject-object dualistic fixation and all of the cognitive obscurations and obscurations of afflictive emotions. And then once the mind is somewhat purified, that then is, the purified is referring to bodhisattvas, and completely or utterly purified is referring to Buddhahood. But at all times, the essence of the mind itself is the same. It remains completely unstained, undefiled throughout those three stages of impure, pure, and thoroughly purified. And then as it says, so it is unstained, or free from stains, and it has nothing to negate and nothing to establish, meaning that it isn't as though one has to get rid of or push away, the impurities or defilements, and that the qualities or the purity of the mind, the nature, has to be accomplished or established. So there's nothing to push away and nothing to establish, so it is without anything to avoid or take up, or to and to block or to accomplish, as it says, nothing to negate and nothing to establish. It is never found by paths and antidotes. So there is really, in the ultimate essence of awareness itself, there's no need for antidotes. There's no need even for the path, because everything is already primordially perfected within this nature. And so, as it says, it is the body of all the Buddhas. So this is the, all the kayas of Buddhahood are complete within this essence. It is the foundation of all the qualities. So all of the enlightened qualities arise spontaneously from this. As it says, it is so these qualities are spontaneously present. So it is spontaneously present. There's nothing to do or be accomplished. It is spontaneously accomplished. Mm-hmm.
那些种是那生理这种简版的看，研发东西光照中样，那光照中那sem的我的长的有的是，我他经过了说把因是我经过的这么长的有的是，我的你们咱家社区这里光照中些半点吧，让了一些这个做，光照中别点别的，让了一些，因为对的吧，这些强求出的对吧，这就对吧强求长期出的这点的系统，我当年的是，人能俺的。 Top tang jin sei then jin khor tang jin khor cho ne Lord Duna sem ji Dzogchen sem Lord Duna ne sem sin du bi Dzogchen no, so then do rinti sama sandors. So what it is, then I told the Nyamlian Mambo the Urati, the Jeriam Golan, Zolan Gumia, Mambo Urati Sama, so the same Nero Doyas Chitrova. What did you say in a raging Gochia and Sama, the same Nero Doyad? And Nero in the Nyamlian Chitina, the teaching Sama, Tinan do the Gores, Kacheto Goya, your Maris, or the Conatina do the Ures.
And so then, as it says, as this very naked nature of mind that is cognizant and empty is the definitive and absolute triple gem. So this is itself, the essence of awareness is the nature of the three jewels. It's no different from the three jewels, as well as the mantras and mandalas and so on. The victory of non-duality says the glories possessed by the triple gem are completely present in the primordial self-awareness alone. This shows the way of awakening that bestows bliss continuously. The Hivadra Tantra says it is mantra recitations, it is austerity, and it is burning generosity or fire puja. It is the beings in the mandalas, and it is the most excellent mandala. In brief, everything is a reflection contained within the mind. So what is being said here, what this means is that, everything that we practice throughout our experience of the path, all of the practices, there are so many different things that all of the different types of completion stage or generation stage, completion stage, all of the many different practices, they are all meant to lead to this single understanding, which is the recognition of the true nature of awareness. So once that true nature of awareness is realized, all of these other practices are contained within that single meditation. The meditation on that single essence is the true meaning of all of these practices.
지주면라르베 다고는 저종으로 차제 친구 꿈디스 룽아게 저 마송제스 메토 이게 예년요
Dzogchen?
차제 친구 꿈디스 근데 룽아게 저 마송제스 다 룽아게 저 소치도 마지스 룽아게 저 마송제 메토 이게 예년요 저데 근데 소치 지나因为这叫做全部光把演着呀，你看我这是没做一些演有事，我这马球牛没讲了说是，我这前马球牛没讲，这你们去过的是，我这种有多少，他这趟去那个人说，这里但这个做在安大亚他公园安大亚忙不是去个，我说我这个做这样子，叫做全部讲这里大块光头个嘛哇，光嘛都得他这样子说，这这样做光特别要空气历史光特别。他现在这里也那种多特别，我听着那么多，我听着这那样子，晓得是不就不光他们年纪那的，他们那里平时，上班那一天，我那年轻人那什么，年轻对的是吧？
So Milarepa is known to have said to Gampopa, at the time when you are meditating on Mahamudra, you can abandon the activities, of exerting yourself in the virtue through body and speech. Because actually by exerting yourself in these activities, virtuous activities of body and speech, this can actually cause the pristine awareness to dissipate, or the primordial wisdom can dissipate as a result. And so it is best to just remain within that uncontrived, completely natural awareness without becoming distracted. And so all of these, other methods that involve, exerting ourselves, for instance, with mantra recitation, or even, meditating on the enlightened form of the deity. All of these are because one cannot abide simply in the meditation of the, which is the recognition or abiding within the recognition of the true nature of awareness. And all of these other practices are meant to lead one to that recognition. So they actually, the result is to become capable of actually realizing that natural state. But for somebody who is capable of just meditating on Mahamudra alone, then it's like Milarepa says, at that point, then there is nothing else that is needed.
Then that's a case on Sada Shiba Gijay Tola, goes on your tongue. So what then I do Shiba Gijay can like goes on tongue, yours. Yijirian Maroba choke, Nigerian Mangaba long, Tini to me by contaminate by Durkins, or then any mean Namja, Jeva me by choke, Gaba me by long, never me by Durk, in me to do the damn so what Ambo Genio, Maradon by needed chocolates, and Gandria, your mother, they don't joke over this. I can't need Sandra need the name Yomara, what to do go, said they go some ear me, but the other Koran will go some ear me, but some your is. Oh, she's owns.
So then it goes on to say, even the three bodies or the three kayas are present in a given moment of awareness. The truth body or dharma kaya is its nature, which does not exist in any form. Complete enjoyment body or sambhoga kaya is its unceasing radiance. An emanation body or nirmana kaya is the union of both, indivisible and abiding nowhere. And then, as it says in the victory of non-duality, unborn is the truth body or dharmakaya, unceasing is the complete enjoyment body or the sambhogakaya, abiding nowhere is the emanation body or nirmanakaya. Thus is the mode of indivisibility is shown. And so these are all aspects of the same thing. Being unarising or unborn, that unborn essence is the dharmakaya. Its unceasing nature that or the unceasing radiance is the sambhogakaya, and all of those manifestations that are abiding nowhere but appearing are the nirmanakaya. And so it is actually the nature, the true nature of awareness itself is the indivisibility of the three kayas.
That is on the rank semi human hand. She did Rare Ransin Deni, Rare Ransin Deni, only in Yermi, so that on by the Yermi Valis, or Demani Nara Nedoris, Demani and Tondam Demba to Gunz of Nembarwa, or Tini Potent Radi Yermeleris, or the Tap Shirani Yermeleris, or the Jetot Yermeba, Jereminata, do the Oris, or Reminata and do the Oris, or the Yermi by Sondwa, in this.
So then it says, the innate nature of your mind, the primordial co-emergent awareness, which is self-aware and self-luminous, is the indivisibility of emptiness and compassion. So it is the non-dual union of compassion and emptiness, is the indivisibility of the two truths being the ultimate truth and the relative truth. It is the indivisibility of skillful means and wisdom, or method and wisdom. And it is the indivisibility of the generation and completion stages. So the generation stage yogas are perfected within this. The completion stage is also perfected within this. Chatsang lo imbe.
Chatsang Yermi in this. What's in it? That you get yummy, but Maroba, shut up, don't buy this. What that don't need Yermi race last one. What the Jeriam Maro, and simple and more Trovio Maro. What the Maroba, the Tombani. What the shut up, don't buy this. Nangapa Miba, Tamning Chimbois, what the Tangandria Marasian. I do not the Jewish Sogro. What then Gandria, the Tamning Chimbois. Tini Swini Bami, that only need the Yermi Bas, what Terry said, love Zondua.
So then as it says, the nature of mind, which exists as nothing, is emptiness, the wisdom. So the empty aspect of awareness, in which there's no inherently existent entity, this is the wisdom aspect. And then its unceasing radiance is the compassion, the skillful means. So even though there is nothing that really exists there, there is the unceasing radiance which manifests as the Rupakaya, from the emptiness of the Dharmakaya. So both being not different is the indivisibility of emptiness and compassion. So then it says the victory of non-duality says the meaning as known by all Buddhas is the indivisibility of emptiness and compassion, which is the singular nature of mind. So this is really saying the same thing here.
Drikung on my was Zetung, that's Zekin Domba Quaker, Landa, Zendant, some gas on Dixon Mare, Tindu, Zekin Domba, Zeton, Rectons, and other Recton, Ting on a Mayabale, lost hand come to me, what in the Hina Tagumda, your money on door, what in doing to that Sembrano, Chan, Zaya, take Tatati Beja, Nazomba, Nai, this Comja is Ganakis.
So then it says, apart from freeing the mind in its own nature, and then remaining undistracted from the indivisible state of clarity and emptiness, so awareness and emptiness, there's nothing to meditate upon. So, so there is this clarity aspect. There's the emptiness, but it isn't just, like emptiness or nothingness. There's also the clarity or the luminosity aspect. So this is this union of awareness and emptiness. And apart from that, there's nothing whatsoever to meditate upon. So now we can meditate for a little bit on this true nature of the mind, to whatever extent.
Top Senate Galicati in Rombo in Rombo de Mandam Galicagara. Toba Sem
Drompo.
Rombo de Camombochi to combat Mombo Jam Ramadan Rona, Gangacacrawata. Umbete Nagita around to Sam to Suzik Nampo Mombo, Rotel, then Toba Sam and Rombo Nagi bet Chane, Sam and Romboda. Drotang is Cheving Ezos, Drotang Cheving or Droba Tempi, Tanchevi. Yoda me, Droba Tempi, Tancheving Ezos. Then Soma Nume Rawami, Soma Sena, Tatishipat, Machupat, Tatishipat, Somas, Nampo, Nima Parson, Jima Maja, Tatishipatella, Somas, what is Soma, Numas, and that's the same. That he, Numari, is that same mimic, Nimita Shipaji, Uradome Shipas, and Teres, Soma Numa Rawa, Londe Chalza Simpui, so what the Rama Shaya. What a long day, but Chalza Chimbu is on. What they do Tanga to Chalza Chimbu. That is Gumia Instata.
So the Mahasidha Tilopa says, let the mind kind of take a break or rest from all of the activity of, kind of like kind of guests who have overstayed their welcome. So all of the guests of thoughts who, like if there are a bunch of guests who are house guests who are doing all sorts of different things, and then it becomes sort of difficult, with them around because they're so busy, so much activity. And so letting the thoughts are like these guests. And so just taking a break from the guests, letting the mind rest, free from all elaboration, disengaging from this proliferation, this unnecessary proliferation. Just allow the mind to rest, to just take to rest within its natural state, which is fresh. Meaning and being fresh, it's like that moment where, the completely present wakeful awareness, where the past thought has already ended. It's like that space between where the past thought of the past has ended and before the new thought has taken shape. There's that freshness. It is what is referred to as ordinary awareness. It is beyond the intellect. It is the natural intrinsic awareness that is not the mind of conceptualization. It is that essence of awareness that is free from the obscuration of conceptual mind. This is Mahamudra. So we can practice for a time resting in the recognition of Mahamudra.
Oh, tene, ta. Tadara, Slange Jive, something match up to this, Slange Jive, Droje, Gombar Chava, Mani, Rangi Cheba, Miba, Yunchi Miba, Unichiba, Majavos, or the Lange Jive, Drojes, the Lange Jiba, the Droba Tamji traded this. Gom said that Nam Tochin, Gumdoya, Maris, Rangi Cheba, Rangi, Junchi, Mel Maying Bachin, Junchi Melachigo, Cheba Mibas, what one some Machiba, Mayimba. Chico is Junchi Ban, Majao, so Junchi is on the Mati, one to Maris, what in my imbat Chico is on the
So then in the Tantra of the unimaginable co-emergence, it says, co-emergence is unelaborated, therefore it is not something to meditate upon, but the nature is an unbroken stream, so the stream is not to be cut. So here, it is saying that simply, there's nothing to be meditated upon. It is the just sustaining the continuity of that nature that is free from all elaborations, and it should be sustained in an unbroken continuity. So if there is like a break in the continuity, then that becomes disrupted. That continuity is disrupted. So we want to sustain that awareness in unbroken continuity, meaning not becoming distracted.
Oh, then that is on the Jolam Namji, my imba, Chemba TV, laying on the Chento Conjung Mosi, but so what that Jolam Nabisena, then Drova, Lama, Drova, Doba, Roa, and Neva, is Arwa, or Jolam Namste, and Rocha took some Drova charts and Lama, Doba, Rocha, Dosum. Water, Neva, Sarvati Jolamshire, what am I in what he got is.
So then it says, during the 4 activities with undistracted, constant mindfulness, as you recognize whatever thoughts, and so on. So the 4 activities are walking, standing, sitting, and lying down. So throughout these 4 activities, this recognition of undistracted awareness is to be maintained. So sustaining non-distraction throughout the 4 activities.
Just similar to on drone Nama lam to chairs, sort of round is drone Nama lam to chairs. No one lam to chairs, then no one no one damn that's on the drona. Then no one lam to chairs, sort of round is sort of round and be soaked, make soaked on that, so to Rajima drop a dog. Now we just on that, I don't think Zibamin, and it's what that is so charged or regular soil, sort of round the Raji Chondrely, what in drinking the low is, drone, no one lam to chairs, sort of round the low is. Don't much new meadows. Nimbo Tonji, the low is, don't much Dona, much you men on those. What the new men on those Nimbo Ton, the low is, that's a much you been on the Yamachi shows. But then
it got a drolo in?
Nimbo Tonji, the low is, the
Ningpo don't get
the low is. Draw Mada be the low is. What Nimbo Tonji, the low is. Sana Tony Ngana Sas, the Shabam is always
Sana
Tony Ngana, Tombani Sashus. The Shabam is always order. The Danga to class and the
Zinto
Zincha and Zibat Chapa. I'm Salois or the Karsena. The Danga to class in the that's for Troy Yado, Ambo the Euro, what in the chat, Malavan the chat bonding was Shabam Salois. Tona change Chablan tones. Don't the change Chablan tones, Chamber the Xi chat. Or the Chuntung or the Junchi maybe. Androlo is Tuno is Junchi maybe. Chamber Xi Junchi maybe Tuno is Roa. What in Rocha and Samla does, Ronanda, Lananda, Nenanda, Donanda, on Rocha and Samla. Rocha sen rocha larwa. Yerwa, do sen dorwa. Rocha nyen do semla da sita jolana bisela do. Rocha nyen do semla da tunsa maybe gejorin so da tunsa maybe. On gejorin on do that.
So Milarepa says, if when walking, bring all appearances onto the path. And in this way, the phenomena of the 6 faculties or 6 senses are spontaneously liberated. So as, for instance, as we walk, we see all sorts of things, all sorts of appearances with the eyes, we hear all sorts of sounds with the ears, we smell smells with the nose, and there are sensations, the sensations of touch and so forth. So within the experience of walking, all these, the phenomena that appear to the 6 sense doors become, bringing them onto the path, allow them to be spontaneously liberated. And then he says, when sitting, sit within the natural state that is completely uncontrived, and remaining within this natural state that is completely uncontrived is the mode of abiding with or sitting within the meaning of the essence, or the recognition, within the recognition of the essential meaning. When eating, eat within the state of emptiness, or recognizing the truth of emptiness without falling into fixation and attachment. And this becomes the method of eating free without fixation or attachment. So normally when we eat, there are all kind of sorts of preferences that arise with regard to flavors and tastes. Oh, this is good, this is bad, I like this, I don't like this. So completely abandoning those sorts of reactions based on attachment and aversion is a way to eat, recognizing the empty nature of the food that one is partaking of. And then if you drink the water of mindfulness, and then you are drinking within the state, the unbroken continuity of the true nature, recognizing or sustaining the recognition of the natural state with unbroken continuity. So whatever it is that you're doing, whether walking, standing, sitting, lying down, all of look at the true nature of your own mind, or look directly at the mind, and then all the 4 types of activities become the virtuous practice or application that is without kind of the division of meditation and post-meditation, or sessions and between sessions.
Yeah, that's an interesting matter.
So then we can conclude here for today. I think we're...
Yeah, we do dedicate.
Okay.
Page 18. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind root and lineage gurus, divine assembly of yidams, assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, heroes and heroines, yogini and her assembly of dakinis, all of you dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of attachment, hatred, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, gain, respect, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. May I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. At the moment of death, may I not experience the suffering of being abruptly severed from this life. May I not suffer a terrible death. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as self and the crystal clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow. Thank you.